We're changing the suspension on the LS430. I'll show you how I did it right now. So we've got two brand new struts from Lexus, and you can see our spring compressor on here, and we'll talk about that in a second. Let me show you what we've got here. So we've got two 48510 59805 shocks. Now that part number is actually different than how you look these up. On the strut itself, the original you'll see will have, well, it looks like a pink or purple and green. These are the non-sport struts. So there's two part numbers for 04 to 06, and this one was actually leaking oil. As I removed this from the car, oil was dripping out of this. And then this was, in our previous video, kind of clunking in that driver's front corner. Clunking, clacking, and just symptoms of a blown shock. So here you'll see the common bushing compression over time that'll just kind of, you know, from the weight of the car and everything, that'll kind of go offset. And on the new one, it's nice and centered. Not like you'll notice that, but little details. On the original struts here, or shocks, the KYBs, you'll see stamped on the bottom here is the part number ending in 50140. So that number signifies non-sport, and that also matches up to the actual part number stamped on this strut. So you'll see 50140. These are the same left and right, so you don't have to worry about ordering different ones for each side. And here's the old spring. So you'll need to obviously compress it to that amount in order to get the nut on the shock on top. And these, again, you have pink or red and green. That's going to signify non-sport. The sport coils are different, so they're going to have different colors. So that's important just as a visual, so you know. This boot is probably going to be ripped depending on your mileage. If you want new ones of those, you'll have to buy the whole assembly, not the coil, but the mounting assembly, because this actually comes out of there. This one's stuck. So next step, we need a compressor. Now I tried using these. These are not very good. They're kind of cheap. They're $20-30 on Amazon for a style like this. These I have linked below in my Amazon store. These are about $50 and far, far better. They've got this brace in the middle that I guess isn't really doing much on this, but it holds these two together so they don't separate. It's got much heavier duty clamps. It's got bottom clamps that have a top and bottom, and then a lock nut on top, so that holds it together. And then 19 millimeter hex bolt on the bottom that tightens and loosens it. The problem I was having with these old ones is that they get twisted up, and this, the socket on the bottom, it's hard to use because it goes in at an angle, and then it gets kind of tight, and then rubs against this or whatever you got going on. It's just not a very good design for this shock or coil assembly. So what I did, I compressed you can do it either on the car, off the car, or, you know, as a whole unit. But I took the old shock out of the coil, so I was just left with the loose coil, and then compressed it, and then I put the shock through there, and then you can easily put that top nut on. Now what we have to do, make sure this is somewhat tight before installing it. You do have to torque it to spec once you get in the car. But once this is tight, then you can release these compressors. And then it'll expand, and then you can install it into the car. Or you can put it in like this and then put it in, but there's no sense of doing that because this is going to hold everything together with that top nut. So that is really the nuts and bolts of it all. This is stuck in there, otherwise I'd take that out. You know, a little bit of rust, but at 365,000 miles, I mean, it's fine. And again, the boot, it's fine. I'm not too concerned about these. And we've got most of it here, so it's not a big deal. Just tighten this nut down. We'll torque that later, but these should have like a lock nut plastic insert in there. So it's a good idea to buy new ones of these when you replace them, but using the old ones will be fine to at least get it installed in the car, and then you can always just swap the nut. So we've got that secured, and now what we need to do is take our 19 millimeter and then, you know, your ratchet of choice or impact, whatever you want to use, and then you just loosen or tighten one at a time equally. Otherwise it'll get bound up pretty good. Now you want to make sure this top coil up here, there's like a resting point for it. There's a specific place for this top part. So we just want to make sure that it's sitting where it should be. And sometimes it's hard to tell, but you can see there's a little like indentation right here. Try to spin that around a little bit more so you can see. But that is where that top coil is going to rest. So a little bit more, and it'll just kind of hopefully drop in there. There's a little bit better shot of the old one. It just kind of sits in there, and this is just paint peeling off. It's not the coil cracked. So once this expands, this is just going to sit right in there. And then the bottom, same thing. This has a little like resting bracket for that coil. So we're going to gently loosen these, and then hopefully everything will fall into place. You can see already it's kind of loosening where it has to go. And on the other side, of course, it's at a tough angle here. There we go. All right, look at that. So it's just expanding right into that seat. And these are really, really nice compressors. These are much, much better than the other ones. Just one at a time, no need to rush. And I'll tell you a few other tricks once we get to that point. All right, so that's it. That's done. Now you can see this is really wedged in there. That's good. And then this is seated right there. That's perfect. Now, let's say you take this off. See how nice that is? It just kind of, it's very easy. That comes off, and then boom, you're done. Very nice. I highly recommend these. Highly, highly, highly. Now let's say your strut here, your mounting point on the bottom, is not lined up correctly with these top mounts. Well, that's not a problem. You can just twist the strut. You hold the top and then twist this, and then you can align this bottom mount with the top once you get it in the car. But I'll just show you how I got it in there. So what we needed to do, take off this top ball joint, and by inspecting it, it is a little loose, but there's no internal play in here. And I can see the bushings inside. I mean, there's no real play, even at this high mileage. Would it be a bad idea to replace those? No, it'd be a great idea, just because of the mileage on them. But we can do that later. We don't need to pull the strut. I mean, that's very simple to do at a later time if we have the need to do so. Your ABS lines here and brake lines, and make sure the hub is supported by a jack or something else. But other than that, you know, there's enough clearance here to snake the strut assembly out of there with those 3 nuts at the top. And then I think on the bottom it's a 19 millimeter nut and then a 17 millimeter bolt, just like so. So I need 2 hands to put this in here, and I'll show you how to align the bottom with the top. And then on the top, this plate goes over the studs that come through there. Now a little trick, again, the way Lexus does this, you see this is in here kind of on its own accord, and then we'll just drop those on there. And my nuts, of course, are on the other side of the car, but you will see that the bottom is already lined up. And the reason the bottom is already lined up is because the way the spring is aligned with the shock and that top mount, it kind of knows where the strut should sit, and therefore it's automatically at the right angle. So kudos to Toyota Lexus for that. Thank you. Now all I need to do is tighten the top three and then put that bolt in the bottom and then put our knuckle back into the ball joint. Here's a tip if you cannot get your ball joint nut on. Jack up or drop the car so that it loads up the hub and knuckle so that all this is pressing upward. Once that's done, you shouldn't have an issue getting this nut on here and then torquing it down, because this is going to be, pushing upward force on this ball joint so it shouldn't spin. You can use just a hand tool, should work, but oops, I went the wrong way. So here you see it's just spinning the ball joint even for me, which is not a good sign because I need that to tighten up. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do here. I guess I'll just have to... That comes off fine, but it just doesn't tighten that last bit. So we'll see if we can spray this and lubricate it a little bit just to get that final turn in there without spinning the whole assembly. Because we're up pretty much all the way on this jack, putting up as much upward force as if the car was on the ground with tires and wheels on it. So let me try that again. If all else fails, put a jack above it. Something like that, just to hold, put downward pressure on the upper control arm so you can torque this sucker to spec. I think it's only like 44 foot-pounds or something, so it's not anything crazy. And then don't forget your pin, and then the pin should just work because, again, Toyota knows where this nut is going to end up, and then it should line up somewhere with the hole in the ball joint. So that's that. Last piece of advice. I like using the original nuts to get everything situated. If you forget something or make a mistake, you can take these off, and then brand new lock nuts come with your shocks. So up to you. If you want to do it right the first time, that's fine. If not, you can take this out just like that once it's installed in the car. Also, if you forget these little plates like I did, you can do that, and then, I don't know where this yellow goes. I guess we can put it to the inside, and then you can put on your new nuts here. Torque to spec, I'm not sure what it is off the top of my head. I'll have to look that up. And come back and do that. But that's it. Job done. Your suspension may be a little bit high until everything settles, if it does settle. Just so you're aware, it might take a little bit of driving just to get everything back to level. So that is it. Congratulations, you just changed your suspension yourself. And thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, click that notification bell, and you'll get more content. Take care.